Hey guys, in this iPhone 12 review, I want to go over 5 new features in this phone that stand out for me, also compared to the 11 Pro in terms of the upgrades or the differences between these two phones. But first, thanks to AnyTrans for being part of this video. AnyTrans is a one-stop iPhone data manager and iPhone switcher. Keep watching to find out how you can win a brand new iPhone 12 as part of the giveaway with AnyTrans. Unfortunately, we didn't get any high refresh rates in the iPhone 12 this year. It's still a 60Hz panel, although really it is absolutely fantastic. I can't see any differences between this and the 11 Pro, apart from the physical size difference. It is just a bit bigger, the 11 Pro being a 5.8 inch screen, the 12 Pro 6.1. I do feel like this is the perfect size screen for me. I would have loved to have gone for the 12 Pro Max, with the main image sensor there being better than the 12 Pro, but 6.7 is just way too big for me to use every day. 6.1, it seems like the perfect size for me and probably quite a lot of other people too. This is exactly the same size and the same screen as the 12, the non-Pro, so you don't have to choose between them this year. I thought I'd really care about 120Hz not being here, considering that all the top Android flagships have 120Hz, but to be totally honest, I just don't really care or notice the difference. Flicking through everything, I really don't feel like it's laggy compared to any other phones. I would love that spec, we'll have to wait till next year, but all in all, I think it's a good upgrade, a bigger screen and very high quality. A really big difference in this year's phones though is that flat display. It's really, really flat. In the iPhone 11 series, you had this 2.5D curved glass. It curved right into the chassis. This is a really different feel. There is absolutely no curve whatsoever. It sits really flush, and you can see the steel frame on the outside, whereas on the 11 Pro and the 11 series, you had that curve around. It's a really different feel. I wouldn't say that it's a better design, it just is a little bit different, and we're gonna have to get used to it because obviously Apple's gonna use this design for at least the next couple of years. Before we go on though, I've teamed up with AnyTrans to give away a brand new iPhone 12. So if you're buying a new phone, then you're gonna have to get your data from your old phone onto your new phone. AnyTrans can help you transfer all of your data, pictures, apps, even WhatsApp conversations, books, everything from your old phone to your new phone without erasing any of your existing data. So AnyTrans is available for Mac and PC. So you can use that with your iPhone and transfer all of your data and everything from your phone to anywhere else. There aren't any restrictions. Also with AnyTrans, you can use the backup function to back up your entire phone to your computer. And each time you back up, it'll only transfer the files that have changed since the last time you backed up, which is going to save you a ton of time. It's going to be way quicker than backing up the whole phone and overwriting things that haven't been changed. Also, it enables you to transfer all of your files from Android phones, old iPhones, to your new iPhone, literally with one click inside the software. So to celebrate the launch of the iPhone 12, AnyTrans is giving away a brand new iPhone 12. All you have to do to enter is just share the story of your first iPhone purchase or the first one that you remember. Share that story with the hashtag #BackUpWithAnyTrans on your Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. I'll leave absolutely everything you need in the description below, including the links to the competition page, all the information about that, and of course to AnyTrans as well, and best of luck. So coming to the camera, and the main physical difference that you're going to see from the 12 Pro at least is the LiDAR sensor in there, but also actually the microphone has been moved and made way, way smaller. It doesn't seem like the audio quality has been reduced too much by this, but it's quite worrying. You obviously get this LiDAR sensor, which is good only in some situations. So the iPhone 12 Pro and actually all the iPhone 12 models this year have a new lens over their main cameras with a faster aperture or a wider aperture. That just means that the lens is wider and can let in more light. If you can let in more light, that means that low light photography should get a boost. And also, if you're close up to items, you should be getting better bokeh or that background blur. At least it should appear more natural and more like an actual camera. Comparing it to the iPhone 11 Pro, I would definitely say that this faster aperture on the lens does help it in those situations. So low light conditions for both photo and video, there is a significant difference in terms of the quality. So in very low light conditions indoors, for example, if you're shooting video, you just have more light to play with. And so I believe that there's less noise in the video from the iPhone 12 Pro versus the iPhone 11 Pro. That is absolutely because the lens is faster, letting in more light. And that also works for the background blur. Because you have a wider aperture, you just get more natural depth of field. There's also a slightly different viewing angle here as well. You can just see they're slightly different. The iPhone 11 Pro, a fantastic camera by the way, like absolutely amazing, but you can put it side by side with the 12 Pro and you just see the 12 Pro does look a little bit more professional, like a camera actually shot it. The background blur and the separation between the subject and the background looks a little bit higher class. This is really pixel peeping, to be honest, but the differences definitely are there. That faster aperture is helping the camera in those situations. Something Apple said during the launch event is that the iPhone, at least the 12 Pro, has a 4x zoom range this year, which is really misleading actually. It only has a 2x zoom camera, and they used to measure it from the main image sensor to the zoom camera, and so that is a 2x zoom. This year they've just measured it from the ultra wide camera to the zoom camera, and of course it's a longer zoom range. It's still a 2x telephoto, but now they call it a 4x zoom from the ultra wide to the zoom camera. That is misleading from Apple. They've changed this in no way whatsoever. Just putting some zoom images side by side between the 11 Pro and the 12 Pro, there is a noticeable difference in quality in the 12 Pro. It's not amazing, but definitely a small improvement. This is all going to be down to the chipset and the processing though. Selfies have improved a little bit. I believe that the 12 Pro has slightly more natural colors on the skin tones. This again is down to algorithms, color science and processing, and not to do with the hardware. Something else I want to talk about is the haptics. Now, I covered a video the other day of a iPhone 12 teardown, and the iPhone 12 and the 12 Pro have been torn down now, and it looks like the hardware on the inside of them is almost identical, save for the zoom camera in the 12 Pro. Something that has been proven from these teardowns is that the haptic engine in the 12 series is smaller than the 11. Well, at least for the 12 and 12 Pro, it's smaller than the 11 and 11 Pro. I can feel a difference between the 11 Pro and the 12 Pro. The 11 Pro's haptics are better. They're stronger and deeper. They're more of a thud rather than on the 12 Pro. It's kind of a bit more tinny, and definitely up at the top of the phone, you can't feel it as much. It's a really small difference, something that is just not very consequential if you're just using one phone, but it's definitely worth a mention. They're not as good as the 11 Pro in my opinion. This also goes for the sound. This is another feature that surprised me because I've always loved the speakers on Apple phones, especially the 11 Pro. Just bassy, big sound from that top speaker box. This has also changed. We also know from the teardowns that the speaker box in the 12 Pro is smaller than the 11 Pro. The sound is also just a little bit different. The 11 Pro, having a bigger speaker box, just has a bassier sound. The quality of the 12 Pro is really great. Definitely not as bassy or as deep. It just has some higher tones in there. You obviously get stereo sound from the bottom and the top as before. But these two things really surprised me. Both the haptics and the speaker box have got smaller and noticeably different. Again, if you're just using the 12 Pro, very high quality. These are very small differences, but definitely noticeable. The next thing is MagSafe, and I guess this is going to become a really big part of the Apple ecosystem, and I really like it. What you want to know is how strong the magnets are, and I would say they're right as you would expect them. They're not super strong, but they definitely give enough of a click in and enough force that you're really not going to knock this off by accident. The best thing about MagSafe is that you can now charge the phone whilst using the wireless charger, and you can also use the lightning cable. Obviously in the future Apple are going to get rid of this entirely, but MagSafe just slips on the back. It's really small, it doesn't take up much of the phone, the wire comes right down, so you can basically wirelessly charge while still using the phone. It doesn't seem much, but I would say MagSafe is just one of those things that when you do buy the charger, it just becomes way more convenient than the other charging methods, either just putting a wire in there. You can actually use your phone without any real issues whilst charging now. That's my impressions and review of the iPhone 12 Pro. It's a fantastic phone. Is it worth the upgrade over the 11 or 11 Pro? There are small differences, yearly iterative upgrades. If you've got anything from a 10 and below, then this is going to be a massive jump up for you. This phone doesn't really take any risks. There aren't crazy features on here. Just another solid phone with everything in the right place from Apple.